to pinpoint a setting for Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5 is quite difficult, since the story moves non-linearly and the main character Billy believes he can time travel to any point in his life. This makes it quite difficult to pick a main setting. The most common setting in the book occurs in Dresden, Germany, where Billy was taken as a POW in World War II, upstate New York where Billy and his family live, and Tralfamadore, the alien planet that Billy believes he was abducted to be part of an alien zoo. The most symbolic of these locations is the alien zoo. In many ways, this zoo mimics his experience as a prisoner of war and is most likely a way for his mind to cope with his experience. The main difference between the POW camp and the zoo is that in the zoo, Billy's mind contorts the fantasy to be as favorable as possible to himself. Some examples include giving himself favorable anatomy and having himself be wanted by the other Earthwoman that is put into the zoo. The main protagonist in the story is Billy Pilgrim. Before he completed a single year of college, he was sent to fight in World War II as a chaplain's assistant. He witnessed death, destruction, and chaos at the highest level, but still survived. After coming home from the war, he went back to school and started a family, and although he leads a mostly normal life, trauma from the war caused him to experience hallucinations and nervous breakdowns, which only got worse with age. His main hallucination revolves around the Tralfamadorians, the four-dimensional aliens which abduct Billy in his mind. Since they are able to see in time, they care very little about the current events that are taking place. To them, there is no such thing as death, or even the present, because they can see in all points in time. The aliens' worldview about time and death are a direct result of Billy's trying to cope with death and destruction that he witnessed in the war, as he now believes that nobody is really dead. Throughout the novel, the biggest challenge that Billy faces is dealing with his own mind. He is haunted by the war, but he is also haunted by the fact that he is able to survive when very few else did, and even become successful after the war. This is one of the reasons that the aliens in his mind lack a concept of free will. To them, everything that has ever happened was set to happen from the very beginning. If there is no free will, then Billy doesn't need to feel bad for anything that happened during or after the war. In this way, the aliens' beliefs, which are really just an extension of his own beliefs, act as a defense mechanism for Billy's increasingly deteriorating mind. The two main symbols that repeat in the book are birds and the color blue. After some horrific act such as the bombing of Dresden, Germany, or Billy being inside of a veteran's mental ward, birds are always around to say "pooty tweet." The bird saying is used to represent the lack of anything meaningful to say after an act of complete destruction or despair, because there is nothing else to say after a meaningless massacre except a phrase completely devoid of meaning like the bird's song. The color blue, which is often used in the phrase blue and ivory, is used to connect the ideas of life and death. Billy, who is alive, is described as having blue and ivory feet due to the cold. Yet at other times in the book, the same description of blue and ivory feet is used to describe the dead. This similarity in description shows how Vonnegut may not really see that much of a divide between the living and the dead. It could also show how even though Billy is alive, he does not feel that much different from being dead. This book masterfully combined anti-war sentiments during the time of the Vietnam War, as well as introduced many mental health issues surrounding veterans into the mainstream at a time when PTSD hadn't even been officially classified. Vonnegut's zigzag of a storyline conveys the insanity of war as well as what follows after, and is still a relevant source when thinking critically about war and its effects. Journey into the mangled mind of Billy Pilgrim in Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5.